Hi, Facebook live stream listeners and viewers. Thank you for joining us for part 2 of Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. And with me now, as promised, the lovely Cheri Blair, our favorite financial consultant. So stick around. We are about to start this segment. All right. Are you ready, darling?
I am, Paula.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. And with me in studio now, as promised, is Cheri Blair, our favorite financial consultant. So let me tell you just a little bit about Cheri in case you have not met her before. She has been with us for quite a while, and so most of you know her. But for those who may be new, she has been providing financial services to entrepreneurs, business owners, and their families for over 24 years. You'd never believe it to look at her because she looks about 24. Anyway, she recently established her own business called Cheri Blair Financial Services. And what I can tell you personally about this woman is her mission, I don't even need a bio for her. Her mission is to empower women to understand their money, to understand their investments so that they can use their money wisely and grow beautiful financial futures. And she puts on these amazing events, which many of us just attended one of, where she has not flower making, but bouquet creating and financial information and lovely food and friendship and fun all combined into this afternoon event in the beautiful San Diego Botanic Gardens. So you want to know Cheri Blair, and you probably want to get signed up for her next event right away because I'm telling you they're not to be missed. So welcome, Miss Cheri. I'm so delighted to have you here with us.
Thank you, Paula. I'm happy and delighted as well. Thank you.
Great. And I truly meant it. Your last event was amazing. And will you be doing another one in April?
It's the end of March, so in 2019, at the very last weekend in March.
Very good. Yeah. And we will be announcing it here. We'll be giving you all a heads up, but mark your calendar anyway. Truly, like one of the best days ever.
Oh, thank you.
All righty. So, Cheri, let's get down to some business here. It's the end of the year, and while most people are fretting about the holiday shopping and maybe getting excited about holiday activities, there are some things that we should be focusing on financially, correct?
Right, correct. Paul.
All right, so let's give our audience a heads up about what are some of those important things.
Right. So like you said, we're closing in on the end of the year, and what does that mean? Time with family. Time with friends, maybe some traveling, fun, and everything else that goes along with that. Maybe even a little stress.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that piece. Lots of stress.
Lots of stress. And so what I'd like to tell people is this is a good time to just take a little time, take stock in your financial life, your financial situations, how you're doing, how's this past year been? Have you met your goals? If you didn't, maybe why not? Do you need to reset them? So on and so forth. But there's also some specific things you can do, because one of the things I know we don't want to do is we don't want to incur any additional taxes.
Right.
If we, if we can keep that at bay by planning, right? And or to lose money, or even be penalized unless it's absolutely necessary. So we don't want to just jump into the holidays so quickly and forget about all these other things financially, that we actually should just spend a little time and take a look at this before the end of the year, because there's some deadlines. There's some deadlines.
So, let's look at the tax piece. How do you, what kinds of things should people be doing right now about taxes?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, if you remember, we talked a little bit about that at my event. So it depends if you're an entrepreneur or small business owner. If if you have your own company, if you are an individual, there's different different situations, tax consequences for either or. But one of the things that you want to take a look at is in your own portfolio, and there's several things we'll address those. But one of the things is selling positions for a tax loss. So in other words, if you had a fund or a stock or something that has you have a loss in that, and you no longer want to carry it forward into the next year, this might be a good time to sell that and maybe let go of that, right? And take that loss, because you may have additional income, or your income may be such that you can use that tax loss against additional income or any other gain.
I see. So you're saying, like, when you file your taxes in April, that you can use this loss maybe as some kind of a write-off?
Right. I mean, it's not exactly a write-off, but it's like, obviously your tax, your CPA, your accountant, your financial advisors can guide you on it. But it's an opportunity to get out of that at a low point, and then because your income may be higher, or you're going to be taking some gain somehow, some way, you can offset that. But you have to be careful, because there is what's called a wash sell rule, and that means that some people will think, well, okay, I've got a loss, so I'm going to sell it now, and then in 2019, next year, like in January or whatever, I'll rebuy it again when it's low. You know what I mean? I'll buy it when it's low. Well, there is, like I said, what's called a wash sell rule, and you have to wait. It has to be done you can't do it in that first 30 days.
Oh, I see.
So you want to make sure that you want to stay in compliance and not get yourself into trouble that way.
Got it.
That's something you should actually consult with your advisor or your planner on. That's something like that.
Okay.
And even, like I said, a tax professional. So another thing that I want to address is your contributions that can maximize your whether you have a 401k or 403b or a simple IRA or anything like that at all. If you have something where you're with a company and you can contribute, and particularly if your company or your employer is matching, you want to match to 100% if you're able to what your employer contributes. In other words, if they give 3%, you want to match to that 3%. If they give higher, like even up to 7%, some employers will, you want to match to that, because basically that's like free money.
So you're saying, I'm not sure I understand that concept. Let's say I have a 401k, and isn't there a maximum amount of money that I could put in it?
Yes,
and
yes.
There
are
4,000 or
no. For a 401k, it's 18,500.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're saying some employers will match to a certain percentage of the money I put in?
Sure, absolutely, yes,
that's
absolutely.
Cool.
That everyone that's in a company where they're having some kind of a contribution to in a retirement fund or something like a 401k or 403b should be contributing. You always should do that. That's that's the way you save for the future, because so many companies are not offering pensions anymore.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned at the end.
So because there's not pensions, and those of us that had a pension or had parents that had pensions, it's much different today.
Yeah.
So what a lot of employers will do is will offer like a 401k or 403b, and that's something that you have to contribute, and that many also will match, and they match a certain percent. But whatever they match, like I said, whether it's 3% or even up to 7% or whatever it is, that is like free money. So you want to take advantage of that. Okay. And but there's one thing that's important to remember is it's not like an IRA, a personal IRA that I think you were talking about when you said, is that 4,000 or 5,000 or something? That's a little different, in that you can actually contribute to that for 2018 all the way till April.
Oh, you can.
Of 2019.
Okay.
But when it comes to like this 403b, 401k, something where the employer set that up for his employees in the company, you have only until the end of December.
Got it.
So you have to do that. So like I tell my clients is take a look at how much you've contributed, because there is a threshold of, like I said, for a 401k, it's $18,500, which is huge, really.
Yeah.
And then there's what's called a catch-up provision. So if you're,
what does that mean?
that means if you're 50 years or older, you can put in an additional 5,000.
Oh, nice.
So, or 6,000. I'm sorry, 6,000. So if you're maxing out your 401k at 18,500, which is a lot of money, and then you can also, you're able to, you're beyond 50, and you can put another 6,000 in. You're over $23,000 into a retirement deferred plan or something, which is an excellent thing if you're able to. And I know a lot of people aren't, but the bottom line is, if you're able to put more in this year in that kind of a plan, make sure you do it before the end of December.
Okay. Good to know.
Important.
Good to know.
So in the breakdowns on these are 401ks, 18,500. An IRA is actually it's 5,500. Okay, so you were talking about that. And then there's also what they call an HSA, which is a health savings account. That's a wonderful vehicle. And individually, you can put 3,450. It's almost 3,500, so 3,450 in individually. And as a family, you can contribute 6,900. So what these are used for is like high deductible health insurance plans. So if you choose a high deductible or a health insurance plan that has a high deductible, you can get this HSA and pre-tax dollars.
Makes up some of that.
Yeah, it's pre-tax dollars. So you put your money in before it's taxed. It's taken out of your from your payroll check and put in your HSA, and then you can pay medical expenses on that without paying taxes on it. So you just paid your medical expenses with pre-tax dollars and tax-free dollars. So that's a wonderful vehicle.
That's
a wonderful
great.
vehicle.
And when we come back from this break, Cheri has even more great tips to share with us, and some of them about holiday spending. So stick around. We'll be right back. Okay, my darling, shall we just keep going?
Yes, we should. I'm not sure we're going to have much time to get into these tips, though.
Do you want to have more of these things that you want to?
Yeah, I want to just talk about. I want to talk about rebalancing I could talk about rebalancing the investments and double checking for estate things. That's all, and then we can get into a little bit of this. Okay.
Perfect. Just remember, I need to stop that. I need you at like 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
So why don't you just touch my leg or something?
Okay. Okay. Are we ready? Yeah. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. I'm here in studio with Cheri Blair, the financial advisor who's all about helping women grow beautiful financial futures. Now, gentlemen, that does not mean that she won't take your call. It just means that she specializes in helping women because for so long we have been the ones who didn't really get to learn all the financial stuff because in so many cases, traditionally, it was all handled by the men. So Cheri is here for the women so that they can be just as educated about finances as men are.
That's right.
That's
right.
So,
Paula knows that we're all about financial literacy here, aren't we, Paula?
Absolutely, we are.
Yeah.
So Cheri has been telling us about the kinds of things we want to be focusing on here at the end of the year, in addition to holiday activities, the financial things we should focus on. So Cheri, go ahead and tell us about what is the next thing you wanted to discuss.
Well, one thing I think that people should take a look at if they're in a position to or they want to, and that's called, well, we know about a Roth IRA, right? That's not there. We know there's a traditional IRA. We just talked about that. That you can contribute $5,500 to $5,500, and you have until April 15th of 2019. So you want make sure it's better to put it in the sooner you have it because it can grow, right? But if you need, you have up until April of 2019. But you can also contribute to a Roth IRA. Now, there are some limitations with Roth in terms of income levels and so on and so forth. So you have to take a look at that, or we'd have to take a look at that for you, or your advisor can. But one of the things that I think is important to mention is with the tax cuts of tax cuts and jobs of 2017, this lowered individual tax rates. Okay.
Oh.
And many Americans can contribute or do Roth conversions more, and they find that more appealing now. And they're able to do that more so than before.
Oh.
In other words, if you visited with this idea or concept last year, then, and you wanted to contribute to a Roth IRA,
Mm-hmm.
or you wanted to do a conversion from your traditional to a Roth, and that's something that can be done. And there's reason for that, obviously tax reasons, obviously, but we weren't able to. So now with the tax laws lowering, okay, and there's more opportunity to go ahead and do a Roth conversion now, depending on according to your income. So if you're in the parameters that would allow you to get into that, that's something you want to look at, because when you take money out of a Roth IRA,
Mm-hmm.
it's all tax free
Oh, wow.
compared to your traditional IRA.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. So your traditional IRA, Paula, so we put our money in, and before we pay taxes on it. So at some point, which is 70 and a half,
Mm-hmm.
if we haven't already, we are required to take what's called a required minimum distribution.
I see. Okay. And we
And-
pay taxes on that.
And we have to start taking that money out if we haven't already. And of course, we're going to pay taxes the way as the government sees it. Where you put that money in, we let you save. We let
Right.
you save and let it grow, compounded for all these years. It's
Mhm.
been invested. So as you start taking it out, of course, you're going to have to pay taxes on it.
I see.
The idea is that when we retire or later in life, our income's lower, so we can take that out with more ease than if we were,
Oh,
in
I
an
see.
account that was
Got it.
not tax deferred like that.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Okay. So that's a very important thing to do. And if you're looking at that, or you have questions about it's on the table, I would suggest you talk to your advisor,
Mm-hmm.
or
Cheri
you're
Blair,
always-
we hope.
or you're always welcome to call me.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And then I wanted just to mention real quickly is it's a good time to rebalance your investments.
And what
okay.
does that mean exactly?
So we've been in a volatile market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even this whole year, 2018, has been nothing like 2017.
True.
Right? So many will say that any gains that we made in 2018 are just flat, or even some below a little bit or
Oh,
something.
really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So so rebalancing your portfolio means, or your investments means, taking a look at what was your objective when you got in. Did you want to have small cap, large cap, medium cap, and what percentages did you want some in like fixed investments? Did you want some in like growth positions, those, so on and so forth? So if it's off balance, you need to take a look going into 2019, because we're going into a different kind of market. The market's shifted and adjusted, and obviously don't have time to go into that now, but that's why it's so important to do that before year ends, and that might mean even selling off some of that stock where you had a loss in, and then if you had gained somewhere else, taking some of that. You see what I'm saying? So it offsets it.
So really, Cheri, everybody who has investments should be sitting down with their financial advisor in
Right.
the next few weeks, right?
Absolutely, and
Wow.
take a look
So
at these
make
things.
some time in your holiday activities, everybody.
Right. I know
Call
that
your advisor.
I know we want to, we get caught up in the fun and everything else, and it's like
Yeah.
you don't want to put the brakes on that, right?
Mhm.
But this, if
Now,
you,
this is huge, because if you don't do it by the end of December, you're out of luck.
that's right when it comes to some of these things,
Mhm.
yeah. And the other last thing I'll just mention real quickly, it would be I like to tell people to double check their insurance and estate plans for the year before they move forward, and that would be obviously life insurance. So, do you have life insurance? If you don't, do you need it? I mean, maybe you have it and you've had it for a long time and you don't need it anymore. What can be done with that? I mean, do you still pay premiums? I mean, how does that work? And do you need that much? Have you done a beneficiary review? That's something that's come up recently in my business and in my practice with clients and people I'm talking to. The beneficiaries, their parents had passed, and the beneficiaries weren't handled correctly, and their assets are going to go through probate.
Oh, nightmare.
And when all it needed to be done was if there had been a review done before before they passed, especially if it's something that was an emergency or something. But or catastrophe. I'm sorry, but if there had been a review done, then that would be in place, and it's just a matter of saying who I want, providing the information, the detailed information, whether it be their name, their date of birth, their Social Security, their address, those kind of things, and that's taken care of for them. And if that's not handled, that can be devastating. And I'm working with some clients right now that it's very devastating. It's very sad. It's very sad.
Oh.
So then the disability insurance, take a look at that. So like if you're with an employer and you maybe had some disability, or you didn't, or you're becoming self-employed, you're starting your own business, you want to take a look at that, because if something would happen to your income and you have a family that you're supporting, and all of a sudden your income goes away, that can be very devastating.
Absolutely.
That can be devastating. And then the last thing would be obviously is your estate plan, your trust, your will, similar to like I was saying about the life insurance. You want to make sure that your investments and your assets are named inside of that trust, because once again, we just recently in my office had some people come through, and they had some of it in a trust, some of it wasn't in a trust, and we immediately just put had their accounts signed over to TOD, which means transfer of death at death, in order to avoid probate. Now, that's not something you'd want to hold on to for a long time or do for a long time, but at least you could do it immediately until you have the opportunity to sit down and put it in your trust or estate, or put it in your trust. Okay?
That's huge. And I think so often people think once they've created a trust that they don't need to review it, And so I've talked to people who, I did that 10 years ago. But things could have changed in that 10 years, right? And you want to be sure that trust is up to date.
Oh, right. You could have had adult children that got divorced. You could have people that have moved. You could have somebody that, God forbid, deceased, and you haven't done anything about that.
Right.
And so where does that go after that? Yes, absolutely.
So all that needs to be brought up to date. And you know what? I think this would be a great time right now, Cheri, for you to give your contact information.
Okay.
Because I'm sure there are people out there listening or thinking, I don't understand all this, or, I have that. I haven't done that. Maybe I want to talk to Cheri Blair, and I highly suggest that you do. So how can they reach you, Cheri, if they're looking to set up an appointment with you?
Yes. So you can reach me at 619-997-0416.
Again?
619-997-0416.
And your website?
My website is Cheri Blair, financialservices.com.
And let's remember, Cheri is spelled Cheri, and Blair, Blair.
That's right,
Cheri Blair, financialservices.com.
Right.
And Cheri, the time flew by way too fast, and we didn't get to holiday spending tips, so you're going to have to come back in December and educate us on doing that wisely.
Right. That's important for the financial picture. Yes, it is.
Oh, my goodness, yes, because spending and overspending and credit card spending is sort of like synonymous with the holidays.
Right. And you don't want to come in, you don't want in January to be hit with a holiday bank statement.
Oh, yes.
That looks very sad and
ruins the holidays.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. Yeah.
So thank you to all our listeners and viewers for being with us today. We are all excited about the holidays. And listen, if you need a great stocking stuffer, that's little book, Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say, it's available on Amazon for $9.99, a perfect stocking stuffer. And you will find our show here on KCBQ, 9 o'clock on Sundays, on AM 1170 and FM 96.1. And we are podcasted on all the major podcast platforms. So please stay with us. Listen to former shows. You can do all that on changeitupradio.com. We've had some amazing guests here. So thanks for being with us, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Cheri.
Bye. Thanks, Paula.
Bye-bye. All right. I'm going Thank you, Facebook live stream listeners and viewers, and thanks for sticking with us for part 2. We'll see you next week.